Elon Musk is on trial starting today because of some of his old tweets. Investors are suing in federal court because he posted about a potential Tesla buyout that would have taken the company private. But that never happened, and the company's stock dropped. If the court rules in favor of the investors, Musk and Tesla could be forced to pay billions in damages. Joining us now from Davos, Switzerland to discuss is Seth Schachner. He's a managing director for Strat Americas, a business development company. So, Seth, after a series of controversies and Tesla's stock price down significantly over the last year, what's at stake for Musk in this trial?
Great to be here, Vlad. Well, this is an incident that happened like 4.5 years ago. And, in the light of things, it's actually a much smaller sort of overall incident than, what's happened in terms of the drop in Tesla's stock price and, the value that's been kind of decimated. But it's a pretty serious thing, because he made some statements on Twitter, and actually the court looking at it has already called them reckless and false. So as I read it, that he's already had a lot of tough things happening from the court already. And you could be talking about some very significant amount of damages if, in fact, the court rules against him, basically. So it's not an insignificant consideration, even as it's, 4.5 years old.
So I was wondering who needs to be more concerned. Is it Elon Musk or is it the investors? Because like you point out, this happened a while ago. Since then, he's tweeted all kinds of things that have made investors really concerned. Whether you're an investor in Tesla or any of his other endeavors, his behavior with Twitter has a lot of people questioning whether he's that sharp businessman that we all thought he was. So who sort of has the most to worry about here? Investors if they lose, or Elon Musk if he does?
I mean, there's definitely a huge consideration around investment, basically. So there's no question there that if something goes against him, it's probably a pretty meaningful and material amount of damage that could be in this, basically. So, but look, the overall question around this enterprise, including Twitter, is for the guy at the top here. How much do you care? How much are you concerned? And, how do you moderate or regulate your behavior and also your operations like Twitter so that you can kind of minimize and smooth out some of these things that keep happening. This one happens to be 4.5 years old, but there's a lot of concerns around the behavior and the management of this company going forward for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So will this trial be a precedent for company executives and specifically on how they use social media?
I think that's the really big consideration here. So yeah, if you're on a board or you're a CEO and it's publicly held or whatever it is, I think strong social media policies and having reasonable behavior in terms of the way you communicate on social media channels is equally significant. So probably so, yeah. And I think some of these issues that you're seeing are in fact caused by some of that communication on Twitter. Certainly the stuff with the Twitter going private over the last 6 months, everything from having a new CEO poll to some of the comments being made in terms of negotiations caused a lot of trouble. And it really raised a lot of questions about why one was even doing this if one didn't want to buy it in the first place. So yes, would be my answer.
Yeah, it's like sometimes Elon Musk's behavior on Twitter and online, it's like he doesn't realize that he's in charge of these companies. He treats Twitter often like, I'm just going to say it like a 12-year-old. Mm-hmm. This is the thought that I had at this moment. And then I might have a different thought 12 hours from now. Meanwhile, everything's burning down.
Yeah. No, look, social media definitely does not lend itself to the most smooth communication, if you will. And I do think, some moderation, not just in terms of how you do your own communication, but moderation is, to me, at the heart of how Twitter works going forward, basically, and what it looks like as a media company.
Yeah.
I'll also add, there's a ton of other social networks, to TikTok probably being the biggest one in my world that I see, that these are probably also going to be relevant questions on whether it's for Elon Musk or any CEO or corporate communications, is some of these social networks get closer with brands and try to integrate with brands. And it's definitely a big question.
Yeah, certainly. Seth, thank you very much. Go enjoy Davos.
It's snowy out here, but it's great to be with you both.
Thank you.